I do. Oh, yeah. Okay, we're going to get started here. Please, if I can get everybody over here. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is John Garcia, Executive Vice President of the Home Builders Association of Central New Mexico. We're all here today because we're opposed to the three ordinances that are being proposed today very quickly without a lot of notice. No ability for us to communicate with the councilors about the bills, understanding the circumstances we're in with the COVID situation. However, these three bills are being fast-tracked really at the expense of business, and the Home Builders Association, which I can speak for, does not support the bills regarding sick pay, sick leave, and personal protective equipment. In fact, much of these bills are even worse than the sick leave bills that you, the voters, passed, that you did not pass. You opposed it because it wasn't good. It was a referendum, and yet the city councilors that are proposing these bills are going over your head as a citizen and saying you may not have known good enough, so we're going to do it for you. The sponsors of the bills are ignoring the will of the people when it comes to the sick leave bills. Currently, many businesses downtown are boarded up due to the poor economy and the recent protests where private properties have been damaged. Simply put, many businesses are struggling to keep and pay their current bills. Increasing their bills will only make matters worse. For many, their only option will be to close their doors permanently. That could potentially mean the loss of hundreds of jobs and tax revenue for the city. This has a big ripple effect. It's a phrase that comes to mind when we think about these ordinances. Decisions made by the council without input from the public have a potential to hurt hundreds of people in our community and many businesses. Today we have some folks to talk with us impromptu about how it affects their specific business. So it is my pleasure to introduce, first of all, our speaker, Carol White, Executive Vice President of the New Mexico Restaurant Association. Carol?
Thank you all. So as many of you know, no industry has suffered more job losses, closed more locations, or lost more revenue than the restaurant industry in New Mexico. For an industry that is the second largest private sector employer in the state, this should be an alarm call to elected officials at the state, local, and in Washington. Every restaurant model, from your beloved corner diner to your favorite independent restaurant to a well-known chain, has an uncertain future as economic damage wreaks a heck on the industry that's only marginally profitable even in the best of times. 6% of restaurants have already had to permanently close their businesses. We just had the news that the Range on Manal closed. The Range was one of the strongest, fastest growing local restaurant chains, and if they have to shut down, who's next? Many restaurants will try to reopen but will fail by the end of the year because they've used all their cash buying inventory or rehiring their employees. Restaurants have additional considerations in this new reality. They are concerned with customer and employee safety in this pandemic. Even the most solvent restaurants cannot survive operating a restaurant at 50% or less occupancy for long, not to mention the additional costs of PPE. The council wanted to help struggling businesses, which just last week I got a call from the mayor, and he asked me what we would like, how he could help restaurants in this economy. We told him one of the biggest expenses that the city charges us for is inspection fees, and he right away, I mean within a week, he rolled back inspection fees for restaurants, and we will not have to pay those this year. That's what we're looking for from City Council as well. help with those things that we really need from our city officials. Sick leave right now is being taken care of by the federal government until December. We don't need additional burdens on sick leave. And just so everybody knows, we would love to be able to pay a premium to our employees, but we can barely make payroll as it is at 50% occupancy. Please do not put these additional burdens on local restaurants that are struggling in our city. Please vote no.
Thank you, Carol. Next, I'd like to introduce Kent Cravens. Kent is the Executive Director of the Greater Albuquerque Association of Realtors.
Thank you, John. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. I guess when you look at this, paid sick leave, pandemic hazard pay, they all sound really good. They're great ideas if you're a policymaker looking to leave your mark on the bushes. They say this is what the community wants. They fail to consider the thousands of businesses that, amidst the most brutal of times in history, would be forced to deal with yet another pile-on. And how about the workers who today are happy even to have a job under the conditions, who are now going to be receiving their walking papers because their employer had no choice other than to trim down or close down? How shameful is it for these counselors to hoist this at our community with no discussion or transparency? As you've heard, we voted it down 2 years ago in October as a community. And I know the voters will remember this as a heartless attempt to promote their social agenda. I believe that the majority of Albuquerque City Councilors will do the right thing today in just a little while. And if we have to have this discussion, if it's needed, that everybody will be welcome at the table, where everyone has a seat to find a solution. Maybe they could spend some time helping people learn how to access the funds that are available from the government. County government, city government, federal government, state government. There's funds that are available to a lot of different people and a lot of different businesses. That would be a good use of their time. We need to promote growth and prosperity in our city. We don't need more mandates and rules and regulations that force businesses to make very tough decisions about how they treat their business family, and how they interact with the community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kent. And next, it's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Sherman McCorkle. He represents the Greater Albuquerque Chamber of Commerce. Sherman?
Thank you, John. Thank you, John. Yes, sir. It is clear that many on the City Council simply do not understand how small business works. For many small business owners, they have a second mortgage on their house. Their credit cards are overextended because they're simply trying to keep their business open. This should be about preserving jobs rather than destroying jobs. These proposals for many small businesses are sad and cruel because they're at the brink now of closing. This could push them over the edge and force them to close. Their employees will lose, the employer will lose, and believe it or not, city government will lose because they will cease paying any taxes. Please reach out to every city council member and encourage them to vote no. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Here we are downtown, usually bustling and really busy, a lot of hotels, but some of the hotels are closed, some are open. Today, representing the Asian American Hotel Owners Association, Imesh Bayada.
Thank you. There's no other words to describe the pandemic disaster that we're going through in the industry. We were suffering from 10% occupancy. We're celebrating 35% occupancy these days now. Nowhere near being profitable, let alone breaking even. We are borrowing money. We're increasing our debt. As McCorkle just said, We're using our credit cards. We're using any loans that we can get our hands on to keep our doors open. To add insult to injury, our Albuquerque business, our city council now wants to increase our payroll that we're having difficult times meeting today. It's just not feasible. We would love to increase our benefits for the staff and the employees, but unfortunately, if you're on the unemployment line, you don't get sick leave, nor do you get premium pay, and that's what you're asking for. So my ask for this city is, please, we understand you're not business friendly, but stop being so hostile to business. Thank you.
Thank you. But before I close, does anybody have anything else they'd like to say? Comment from business owners? Thank you very much for being here. I'll just tell you that we've been through this years ago, as has been said. The county had a sick leave policy, and they've even relaxed their policy. And we appreciate and respect Bernalillo County commissioners for doing such a thing, especially in light of the circumstances. So, again, these bills are not good for business. There are 3 bills, 025, 026, and 024. We're asking you, the city councilors, to please vote no to the following prospective ordinances: establishing the public health emergency premium pay, adopting a paid sick leave ordinance, and 3, requiring employers to provide personal protective equipment. It is not good for business, it's not good for our community, and it's not good for the employees. I want to thank you all for coming today. We'll be here. You can talk to anybody in the group, if anybody's available, because right now it's do or die for their businesses. Either we stay open or we close. Thank you.